Welcome to the Logic in Life Coaching Podcast, episode 15.
Everyone wants happiness and success, and we know how to get you there. Come listen to the Leadership Society of Arizona as we teach a proven logic to help you simplify life, overcome challenges, and predict the future. You're listening to the Logic and Life Coaching Podcast. Welcome to the Logic and Life Coaching Podcast. My name is Chuck Zalanis, and I'm joined by Dr. Jacob Kashiwagi.
Thank you.
We got another question for you today. You ready?
Okay, I'm prepping myself for this. I'm excited. I'm gonna try and answer this as simply as I can, like I always do every week.
Do you have any shout outs you want to give?
I want to give a shout out to your dog.
Here, my dog. He's pretty dead right now.
To all of my amazing fans out there, or the lack of them out there.
Come on, Dr. Jacob. You've got fans everywhere. People are excited.
Shout out to all those people who listen to my podcast because they're just showing their respect.
I don't even know what that means. Is it dead? Is it like, is this an obituary?
No, people who listen because they're just being nice to me,
Oh.
I have a lot of really good friends out there, though. So maybe I should give a shout out to all my good friends who, because of your views, make this podcast such a success.
Nice. Good shout out.
And one last one, I want to give a shout out to Chuck Zalanis, who makes this all possible.
Okay. Well, thank you. That was more than I was expecting, but all good. Okay, so the question for today is about pride. And so this is another confusing topic for me. And so I just wanted to see if you could clarify it for me. So many people have too little pride, which results in feeling abused in interactions and blaming the world for their lives. And others have too much pride, feeling like the world revolves around them and they naturally abuse others because they don't think of others. Can you have the right amount of pride?
I don't know.
I got him. Stumped.
The reason I can't answer this question very well is because pride is used in so many ways. And I think that's what makes it very hard, because pride doesn't really have a clear definition, right? And so I think to be able to get to the crux of your question, we have to kind of talk about, well, what is the definition of pride? So if I were to ask you, Chuck, what is your definition of pride, what would you say?
I would say it's like self-confidence. It's feeling like your personality is just bursting out of you. You're feeling like the world is all about you, and that's kind of what you think you're better than others. I don't know, pride. Sure.
You see, that's the issue. Is no one knows the exact definition. There's many, and also they usually include subjective opinions on things. Like the one you explained is someone who's prideful about themselves, has pride in themselves, and they feel they're better. They feel they're really good. They love what they do. But how do you put a level on that? It's a very subjective thing then.
You measure their head.
That would be a good way to do it, but I don't think that's a very accurate way, especially scientifically.
Okay. All right.
But
all right.
But like, let's take something else then. Like having What about when someone has pride in their friends or in their son? And someone says, you know, I'm very proud of my son. I have pride in my son. You know, what does that mean? Well, usually it means a father feels that his son's a success, that his son has done good things. But then what does that mean? You know, what did the son do to actually have this success or to do things the father's proud of? It's a subjective thing. You know, some fathers might think, hey, if you get a lot of money, then I'll be proud of you, or, you know, I'll have a lot of pride in your work, or if you become well known as a sports player, or, you know, there's all sorts of things with that. And I could go down a list. Having pride in yourself. What about taking pride in your work? When people say, take pride in your work, Chuck, what does that mean? Well, it means pay attention, do good work. But what's good work? You know, to care about your work. Well, what do you have to do to care about your work? So pride is a very confusing thing. So I'm going to change it. Because really what we're trying to get at is with, you know, with this pride, is you're asking me, is there an optimal way to act and feel about yourself to become more successful?
Yeah.
Is that your question?
Yeah.
And there is an optimal way to feel about yourself and to act to get more successful results. And that way is to view yourself 100% accurately. You're so confused right now. But let me
I'm giving you this look because I'm confused, yes.
But let me simplify this for you. If you're looking at, for example, money, well, there are certain standards of money. You might have so much money. If you think that having $100, say you make, I don't know, what, like, say you make around $50,000 a year. If that's about medium wage, right? A middle wage earner is about $50,000 a year. But if you think that you actually are really, really rich and you're like in the top 1% of society off of earning $50,000 a year, well, then you're not viewing yourself very accurately. Also, if you're at 50,000 and you think and you view yourself as really, really poor, which you're not, then you're also viewing yourself inaccurately. And if you act as if you're really, really poor, saying, woe is me, no one gives me enough money, I don't have my opportunities, and you're making $50,000 a year. Or if you act like you're the really, really rich and saying, well, I have so much money that I can buy anything, well, you're going to have bad outcomes either way. But if you realize, hey, I'm a middle wage earner, and if I'm going to balance my books, if I'm going to live comfortably, I have to live as if one of these people who earns around 50,000, then that's the best result. And it's the same way with valuing yourself in acting a certain way. Is if you're a really, really good, say, sports player, you're on a team and you're like the main guy on that team. Well, if you act like you're not the main guy on the team, well, you're not going to be fulfilling and being able to achieve all that you could achieve, right? Say you're really good at making basketball hoops. If you're always giving the ball to other people and you're not shooting it, not only are you going to detriment the team, since you could probably make it every time, but also you're going to be detrimenting yourself on developing your skill to become an all-star basketball player, right? But if you're like really not good at shooting and you're a defensive player and you get on that court and you're shooting everything and you're missing everything, not only are you going to get kicked off that team, because clearly you don't belong on the court. But you're going to be detrimenting your team for while you're on the court. Am I
This
making
sounds like
sense
a
here, Chuck?
personal attack, Dr. Jacob. I
Now,
played the bench in high school.
now you need to understand, I practiced with the basketball team when I was in high school. I was like this. I was shorter than 5 feet. I was like 4'11" or something, and I was like less than 100 pounds. And I'd be practicing with the basketball players. And you see, if I got really prideful because I was practicing with the basketball players, well, if I viewed myself inaccurately, and I thought, hey, I'm practicing with them, I could be on the team. Yeah, that wouldn't have gone well. Luckily, I was always reminded and I always understood I was practicing with the basketball team only because the soccer coach did not want to put me on the soccer team. So I realized I wasn't an athlete.
Okay.
And realizing I wasn't an athlete has done me a lot of good in my life. Okay, Chuck?
Got it. Got it. And you could use this even in relationships. So you could think that you need to be with the most attractive woman out there. And you're like, oh, I'm not going to settle for less, but that's not who matches you, then you're just going to be disappointed all the time.
And it's so true. Everybody matches with different people, and everybody matches at a certain level. And it's really important that you understand what your level is in different areas of life and how good you are, how good you aren't at something. The more accurately you can perceive who you are, that will bring the best outcomes of success for you.
Right.
You know, it's like if a fish was, thinking, hey, I'm gonna be just like the birds, and I'm gonna fly. And yeah, that fish is going to jump right out of that fish bowl and die.
That's very true.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting the example to be so dramatic, but it ended up being that way.
What a great example. Wow.
I know you're very impressed with it.
Okay. Jacob, I wanted to bring us back to the original question, which was about someone feeling too little pride as well. So if you're being bullied all the time, or if you're feeling abused in interactions and blaming the world for your life, what do you tell someone that is in that environment? They're not really perceiving accurately what's going on.
Okay. First, when someone's in that type of environment, they're going through a tough time. And so I don't try to tell them anything. But I do let them know the value I see in them. Because when someone's not perceiving themselves up to the level that they actually are, then that is tough. That is something that you would hope that they gain and open their understanding to realizing the value that they have in life. But the tough part about this is the only people who really can teach someone that themselves. So myself and yourself and everyone needs to figure this out for themselves. I would give them as much support as I could. You know, I'd always tell them how valuable I see that they are. Instead of maybe trying to tell them something, I might try to put them in a good environment where they can see that they're very talented. You know, if I found someone who's really good at drawing and maybe they're not good at math, I try to get them in a drawing class so that they could see that they excel at that. But does that make sense? It's more of just trying to get them in a position where they can realize their value.
Right.
And they have to develop that on their own, I think.
I was thinking of one other solution that I had come across, which was again, on nonviolent communication, this
Yes.
idea that so Marshall Rosenberg was talking with this gang, who he was doing this seminar, and they were saying, they were just making fun of him the whole time. And so he would repeat back what he was saying and what he thought they were feeling. So he's like, so are you saying that you feel frustrated because this isn't the type of seminar that you think is practical for the real life and for what the scenarios that you have? Do you feel scared on a day-to-day basis for your life and all of the, and he would just bring it back to them for,
Yes.
and they gained a lot of respect for him, even though he just didn't take any of it personally. He recognized that he does have that value and that
Yes.
what they're saying is really a reflection of what they're feeling rather than what he should be feeling about himself.
And you know, when someone views themselves accurately and understands who they are, it's very hard for other people to come in and affect them with demeaning words or, you know, try to, you know, get them to feel insecure. Because when you know, then there's nothing anything outside can do to you that that will sway you from your ability to know your value, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a good
So
point.
that's
If you
great.
understand that who you are, it makes it a lot harder for you to feel out of sync with yourself, and you're more likely to feel happier.
Yes. So let me give you some characteristics of, as we're talking about this, of what happens and what you develop when you perceive yourself accurately. Okay. So one is you only tell others of your accomplishments when it helps other people. So you'll find people who perceive themselves accurately, they're not going around taunting all of their accomplishments and telling you how great they are. And the reason being is because they know who they are. You know, they don't need other people to know that. They only do it when it will benefit others.
So, when does it benefit others?
There's a couple ways. Like, for example, if I'm like a really good basketball player and I'm trying to get recruited to a team that fits me perfectly, well, then to get on that team, I might tout all of my accomplishments and what I've done in my stats and whatnot to get a good contract to get on that team. And so when I want someone to recognize I'm a good fit for them, I might tout some of my accomplishments to show them we're aligned. And that will benefit the team, it will benefit me. It's kind of like a win-win situation. That makes sense? If someone is coming to me for advice and they're not really sure if they want my advice, I might tout my accomplishments in that area to show validity in what I'm telling them, right? So when I tell them a piece of advice that they will understand, I'm telling it to them because I've seen success from it. And not just because I want them to feel I'm like this great person. Does that make sense? The second thing, someone who knows who they are, they won't try and do everything. Because they recognize that they're not really good at everything. They know what they're good at, what they're not good at, and so they'll be very keen on just doing what they can do and leaving everything else for other people to do.
And that's not to say that you shouldn't try new things. And that's
Yes.
because what we were talking about when you were trying to find your career is that you have to try a bunch of different things and figure out what you're good at and what you're not good at, what you're passionate about, that sort of thing. So you're not saying that, right?
No, in fact, even with finding a career, the more you know who you are, the less careers you have to go out and look for because you know what you're good at. You know what career you're going to be the best at. It's when you don't know yourself that you actually have to go out and try new things and figure things out. But yes, in this case, people who understand themselves, they know when something in their realm. Right? For example, I am an educator. I'm not a skydiver. Do I need to go skydiving in my lifetime? No, that's not who I am. Some people might feel they need to go skydiving, but that's not me, you know?
Skydiving is fun. I've gone skydiving. That was fun.
And it would probably be really fun for you, but I know myself. You know, I might jump out of that plane and say, hey, this is great, but that's about all it is to me. You know, it's not like I'm not looking for that thrill in my life because I know who I am. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So you don't try and do everything, and you don't need to try a lot of new things because you know who you are. If you want to try it, hey, then you try it, you know, because you realize, you know, what are things that you're interested in. Next, you'll let other people know what you can do and what you can't do. So if someone asks you to do things, if you don't want to do it, you'll tell them no. If you are willing to do it, you'll tell them yes. And you'll be very honest with you in that way.
And that's sometimes difficult in a work environment. You think, I have to do this, or if I don't do this, then I lose my job. So what do you do in that sort of scenario?
People who understand their value and accurately perceive who they are, they still tell their bosses, yes, I can do this, and no, I cannot do this. Because they realize if they try to do something they can't do, or they do really badly, that it will hurt the company and themselves.
Right. So you let them know your limitations. So you say, you know, I could work on this. It'll take me X amount of hours. It'll take me this amount of effort, this cost. I feel like it would be more effective if I spent my time on this and I outsourced this to someone else. What do you think about that? I mean, that
Yes.
solution?
I mean, someone who knows themselves, they're very polite, they're very understanding, they think of other people, right? They care about the overall company, and so they're trying to find a good deal. They're trying to find a compromise to get what needs to be done in the best way possible. Right? Now, that's the other thing, is they're not worried or stressed about losing their job. Because someone who knows their value, they're not worried about that type of thing. They know they can always find a good position because they're good at what they do. They know what they're good at. And so they don't worry, they're less stressed, they're more at peace. And because they're more at peace, that allows them to listen to others, to value others, to be able to care about other people more. And so these are characteristics that come to you when you accurately perceive who you are. And these characteristics are also found in many of the very, very successful people.
Okay, like who?
Like Mother Teresa, like Mahatma Gandhi, like Nelson Mandela, like
So pacifists everywhere.
Bill Gates, what's Tesla's, what's that guy's name? Who's the person who found Tesla? Oh, you got to know. How come I'm Elon Musk?
Come on.
Elon Musk. I mean, there's so many people. Lots of presidents, religious leaders, diplomats, business people, everybody. You know, you start reading leadership books and you start reading about all these successful people, you'll find they have a lot of these characteristics in them. Okay, so quickly, let's talk about some things that you can do right now to get an accurate picture of who you are. I got 3 things for you. 1, learn about others. Read about successful people. Read about other people. Get to know other people. The more people you get to know, it's going to teach you about yourself and what you enjoy, what you like, where you're at. It will also teach you where you are, right? a lot of times when we're growing up, we like start playing the piano at the age of 8 or 6. And we think, whoa, we can play a couple songs, we're awesome. But unless you really listen to Mozart play the piano, or some of these greats play the piano, you never know exactly where you stand. And a lot of people don't realize there are some really, really talented piano players out there. And as you get to know successful people, as you get to know people around you, you can more accurately identify, do I have a talent for piano, or am I just an average player, right? In my case, I was an average player. Although it took me a long time to figure that out. For a long time, I thought I was really good, but I wasn't. But okay, so first,
it doesn't mean that you shouldn't play piano. It just maybe it means that you shouldn't do it professionally.
You got it. You got it. It's like King Julian at whistling, right? No clue. He's not good at all. Okay, I don't know how he thinks he is, but that's part.
Madagascar 2. Madagascar 2 is the reference. Just.
Okay. Second thing you can do: set goals. See, when you set goals, I think we've talked about this in previous podcasts, but it teaches you about yourself. So, another plug for setting goals in your life and trying to figure out who you are. Okay. Third, get a mentor. The mentor will be able to help you, expose you to things that will give you a good, accurate picture of life and where you are in life. And those are my 3 things.
Sounds good.
Okay. Was that pretty simple enough?
Okay, so yeah, so
20 something minutes later.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, understanding that pride has different definitions, understanding that if you know yourself accurately, then you're going to be better off. Well, I think that's all we have for today. Thank you so much for listening and for watching. We appreciate you all for listening in and watching. Have a good day. Thank you for listening to the Logic and Life Coaching Podcast. It would be great if you could take a moment to write us a review. For any questions, comments, or topics that you would like to have addressed on the show, email the team at leadaz.org. To learn more about the Leadership Society of Arizona, visit us at leadaz.org.